Now, if you want to crown them, then crown their but they are who we thought they were, and we let them off the hook.
Oh my goodness. Welcome back to your Valley Sports Plug Live. It is Tuesday, January 6, 2026, and our very first show of the new year. Can you tell that it's been a couple of weeks? Guys, I'm your host, Chris Patrick, excited to be back at it, and I'm happy to have all of you here as well. Tonight, we'll be breaking down and reviewing the 2025 Arizona Cardinals season. Now that all the games have been played and the dust has settled, I think we're left with more questions than answers. But before we get into all of that, and so I can recollect myself, let's introduce the fellas. We have the one, the only VSP Tallman. What's going on, brother?
What's up, Chris? Dude, 2026, I won fantasy football. I won my bet against Michael. We're off to a hot start right now, man. Can't complain. Mike, how you doing?
Tallman, God, you had to bring that up right off the top. He did say that it's going to be a Michael Wilson jersey, wide receiver number 1 officially. But 2026, guys, I have to share this story. Started off with a bang. On January 1st, right off the day, had a great start, watched the Stranger Things finale, then went to do some, errands with my fiance and find ourselves at PetSmart getting some stuff for our cats. And I'm in the checkout line. And this guy's wearing a Detroit Lions hat. So I'm like, okay, not as bad of a season as ours, but poor guy had expectations, didn't make the playoffs. And I'm in my Arizona garb, just threw it on, getting the year started. And he asked me, he's like, so you're a Cardinals fan, huh? And I was like, yeah, maybe unfortunately. He said, I don't really follow football, but are they as bad as they normally have been? That was how I started 2026, and I feel like it really goes perfectly into what we're going to talk about today. But with that being said, Chris, how you doing, man?
I'm good, man. I'm good. I think I've finally calmed the nerves a bit. Mike, did you tell him that they were actually worse than they've been?
No, because it was pointless getting into a conversation with somebody who was wearing a football hat, but apparently doesn't watch football. So I wasn't going to go down that road, but it was almost like serendipity because the guy's name was Max, and I had just finished watching Stranger Things, and Max is one of the main characters in that show. So shout out Max. I will never forget that. Brianna almost broke down in tears in the checkout line with me, man. It was just a special way to start the year.
I love that, Mike. I do love that. And I hate to keep asking you unrelated questions to what we have to talk about, but I haven't watched Stranger Things, but are you in the camp of the fan conspiracy that there will be a secret episode dropping tomorrow?
Sure. Why not? I love a good conspiracy theory. And it's funny. I've already seen some stuff on Twitter where people are like, it's official. The conspiracy is happening January 7th. Watch how Netflix just dropped a trailer for the last episode. And then people are clicking on it and it's the Rickroll video. So it's perfect. It's just encapsulates a great start to the year for me. Maybe the opposite from VSP Tallman, but we're going to get it back some way or another.
Yeah, man. Plenty. There's 359 days ahead of us, man. Looking forward to it. But yeah, before we get into the matters at hand here, we let you know we're going to be making some changes and we'll roll that out for you over the next few weeks. But some things are going to stay the same too. We are going to continue to stream live every Tuesday night, trying to aim for like 7:15, but somewhere between 7 and 8. I'll keep it honest with you guys. We'll be right here on YouTube, and all of our live streams will be uploaded to audio-only podcast platforms next day. That's Spotify, Apple Podcasts. Just Google Valley Sports Plug. I'm sure will pop up. You can also follow us at AZ_VSP on Instagram, X, TikTok, and so much more. All of our links will be in the description below, along with a nifty little link tree button that'll take you to a page that has all of them. It's beautiful. But guys, 2026, man, we are here. We are 6 days in, and your Arizona Cardinals finished their season 3-14, the same record as the other three worst teams in the NFL, being the Raiders, the Jets, and the Titans. And this secured them the number 3 pick in the draft coming this spring. Man, it was a season marred by injuries, poor decision-making, podium platitudes from our coaching staff. And guys, I can honestly say I'm so happy for it to be over, but let's relive it one more time. I think I have it in me. Mike, I think we were talking about this. We should probably just break down the whole schedule and relive it that way, right?
Yeah, let's take a look at it. But I need to get VSP Tallman's thoughts first, because as somebody who was in attendance for the majority of this season, I have different feelings towards it, I feel like. But Tallman, take it away, man.
Yeah, so just general overview, or are we going through the schedule?
Just whatever your heart desires.
Okay. Yeah, so, oh man, let's just say thank goodness it's over, right? And after that, what was it? The sack in that Rams game, 2 minutes in, I was waiting for someone to text it. Mike was the first one to text to say, I can't wait for this dumpster fire to be over. And so finally it is, right? But just overview of the season, I mean, just it's hard not to say the turning point was that Tennessee game that unfortunately we were all in attendance for, where we kind of saw just the breakdown of this team right before our very own eyes. The last game, Kyler Murray is probably going to start for a Cardinal, which coming into the season, Gannon getting fired at the end, Kyler Murray probably not being the starting quarterback coming in, I wouldn't have had that on my bingo card. So it went as poorly as it possibly could. And it's not surprising because this team had expectations, and we know what happens to Arizona sports teams when they come into a new season with expectations. But it's hard not to mention all the injuries. I mean, guys, we had, I think, over 40 players that spent some time on the injury list, injury report, missed a total over 300 total games combined. I mean, I think that's the most in the NFL this season. We were absolutely ravaged by injuries. We lost, obviously, our starting quarterback to a phantom injury, which he got benched, but he was on the injured reserve for the majority of the season. We lost our number 1, number 2 running back. Our offensive line was absolutely torn apart. Our supposedly star, generational talent, number one wide receiver, and Marvin Harrison missed a chunk of games. And then we had some key players missing on the defensive side too at some points in the season. But of course, we ended on the season on the defensive side of the ball relatively healthy, and we still were getting destroyed by teams, and we had pretty much our whole defensive unit together. But so you have to mention those. But really, my main takeaway is just the downfall from, he was sitting high, the coaching staff was sitting high. I mean, we joked about Jonathan Gannon hot seat, rumors or whatever coming into the season. We were like, what are these people smoking? Are they watching the same thing we're watching? Like, we're about to kick some ass here in 2025. That's not happening. But of course it did happen. And just my big takeaway is just going to be this whole, the secrecy with this whole Kyler Murray thing. I mean, the breakup happened. It definitely happened. I mean, you can't tell me that Kyler, his agent, his dad, whoever in his corner didn't have conversations with the Cardinals, front office about what's going on, what their future is. I mean, that happened, but we didn't, they kept that all from us, and they pretended that his foot hurt and that he couldn't play football, even though we saw him in warmups, gauging up, getting ready for that Dallas game on Monday night. Right there in practice, he had a lot of coverage on him playing with the ones with Jacoby. And then you have the head coach saying, maybe there's a role for him on Monday night, but then nope, straight back to injured reserve after that trade deadline. So it's just mysterious, but overall it's just poor football. I mean, there's multiple times we saw the coaching staff's fingerprints all over these 7 games, these 7 losses that we lost by a combined whatever. I forgot at this point because it's irrelevant, but the combined 14-point loss, whatever. But overall, just happy that it's over. And I'm excited to see what's coming up here, because we're going to, obviously with Gannon gone, we're going to have a lot of change with the coaching staff. And I'm still in the belief that Kyler Murray is not going to be wearing that Arizona Cardinals jersey come spring training next season.
And I think the big thing for me overall for what happened to the 2025 Arizona Cardinals was truly history, gentlemen. I mean, this is technically the worst season win-loss record-wise by this franchise, predating their Chicago ties. obviously it's because we have the extra game, but the biggest thing for me was to begin this season, first 7 weeks, it truly was a fraudulent team where a lot of people thought they were better than they truly were with all of these really close losses. I mean, you think to the first 2 wins of the year at New Orleans and versus Carolina, there was opportunities for both of those teams to take those games. And then the wheels started to fall flat. Obviously, you go to Santa Clara and, yes, you miss a 4th down opportunity, but the offense and the running game is where it all went downhill. You lose a tough Thursday night game, and then Tallman touched on it. The straw that broke the camel's back was the Tennessee game. I mean, you're talking about the head coach punching a player, getting fined $100,000, freakish fumbles after interceptions, Amari DiMercado throwing the ball out of the end zone. Anything that could go wrong for this team this year did. And when I also talk about history, you have to think about all the other negative light items that happened for this team, right? The first team to ever have 3 straight field goals kicked on them, walk-off style, winning a turnover battle 4-0 and losing a game. The first team to ever do that. A team to have multiple 7+ point advantages heading into a fourth quarter to lose those games. And after the bye week, what were we talking about? If Jonathan Gannon wanted to retain his job, truly all I think he was going to have to do was just to remain competitive, especially with all the injuries that happened this year, right? But you give up 35+ points, 6 of the last 9 games, 40+, 4 of them as well, and get utterly dominated by the best division in football at this point. There was just no return possible for Jonathan Gannon. I think the biggest thing that forced Michael Bidwill's hand, which we have to give credit to ourselves, is the fan base mass exodus from season ticket sales to social media outbursts, outcries. Sometimes people think that they're just blowing into the wind, but when there's enough of us who have stopped tuning into a product and it starts hitting a pocketbook, changes need to be made. So it honestly, we're going to talk about it. It was the right decision, and now we just have to move forward. But Chris, was there anything else that really stuck out to you? Any specific games that, other than the Tennessee one, because obviously, that was really the main one of this year. But man, what are your thoughts on this? The worst season ever.
Yeah, I mean, you guys did a great job covering it, and basically, I share a lot of the same thoughts. Specifically though, you asked me about a game. I think the Cowboys game was a big one, and maybe not the Cowboys game, maybe the Seahawks game that immediately followed, because I feel like up until that point, yeah, the first 2 games were shaky wins, but then after that, Mike, you kind of mentioned it. We had that 5-game stretch where we only lost by a combined 13 points, and you're like, man, these guys are right on the doorstep, but maybe just can't figure it out. And then Jacoby's in, and Kyler was supposed to start that game. The word on the street was that he was going to, but then Jacoby starts. They have a pretty solid performance. They win that game on the road. And you're like, okay, so maybe those close games, that's just what they were. They were just close games that could have gone either way. But then, Mike, I think you said literally the wheels fell off, and they truly did, because you got 20+ point blowouts the next 2 weeks, I think. And even if we can play the what if, coulda, woulda, shoulda game. But I was just checking and crunching the numbers. If the Cardinals had won every single game that they lost by 3 points or less, they would still only have 7 wins this season. Come on. And we're talking about franchise record in losses, which, you can put a little bit of an asterisk on because of that extra game, but a change is needed, man. And it's crazy that now we're looking at, similar to the Suns situation, paying 3 freaking coaches. So I just question, I hope this season, honestly, as bad as it was, could be an eye opener for Michael Bidwill. Cause I mean, how are you going to justify being such a cheapskate, not wanting to pay coaches, but then paying 3 coaches? What if you just paid 1 coach all of that money and you had a good quality guy that stuck around for 18 years like John Harbaugh? I mean, actually, I think that guy's available. So maybe they should make a phone call. But I'm not going to hold my breath for that. If I'm a head coach that has head coaching experience, the Arizona Cardinals is the last team I want to coach, no matter how much money you give me. So I expect another coordinator, first-time head coach, and more of the same, honestly. I'm very, very much as optimistic as I was to start the season. That's gone completely out the window. I'm a full-on pessimist again. Thank you, Arizona. But yeah, I mean, so let's kind of break down, I guess, some of the other storylines within this. Tallman, you kind of briefly mentioned Marvin Harrison Jr. I know missed a good portion of the season with injury, but you think it's fair to say he had a bit of a sophomore slump this season?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, there's no doubt about it. I mean, and part of it was he couldn't stay healthy, but even when he was on the field, it was, I mean, just okay, let me go back. For what Michael Wilson did in his absence, Marvin Harrison Jr.'s absence, it's just unbelievable. What Wilson was doing was what Marvin Harrison is supposed to be doing every game that he played. But even when Harrison was healthy on the field, he wasn't doing anything, right? I mean, it's just to say that he had a sophomore slump. I mean, that's an understatement. He absolutely did. I mean, and then part of it though too is, so obviously the kid's talented, right? I mean, he was an absolute stud in college. I mean, there's a reason why he was a top 5 pick. But I mean, can you blame some of this on just player development? I mean, I'm looking at the coaching staff that we have right now, that we don't have right now, that we used to have 2 days ago. I'm looking at them right there saying, you guys are inexperienced. Do you guys have the tools and the ability to, properly develop some of these young players? And maybe he's been handcuffed by that. I mean, I still have faith in him. I absolutely do. I mean, there was all this talk about him bulking up coming into this season, but that didn't do shit for him. Did that hinder his progression? I don't know, but it's alarming to say the least, but I still have the hope. I mean, you hear the people saying, oh, we're done with him. We got Michael Wilson as our number 1 receiver, which I'm not going to argue with. I've said it multiple times already. I will eat my words on talking shit ever about that draft pick. I mean, props to Monti Ossenfort in the 2023 draft, but he didn't do shit in the 2024 draft. So that's a whole different story. But I mean, I'm not ready to say ship out Marvin Harrison. I mean, you spent a lot of prime draft pick on this kid. After 2 seasons, it's not, you got to give him some more time. I mean, hopefully this new coach, new head coach, new coaching staff coming in will be able to get a little more out of him and get him more adapt to the professional game, because he's just been, he's not what all of us Cardinals fans hope for, and not what was sold to us when he was picked that high in the draft.
I think the big thing is because a lot of people are looking at comparisons to guys who have made the jump to the NFL right away and really just flown off the page. Guys like Justin Jefferson, guys like Jamar Chase. It's funny enough, both of those guys are from the SEC, and a Big Ten product has not panned out so far. But the jury's still out on Marv, guys. I got to throw that up. It can be a sophomore slump, but the guy had appendicitis. You don't plan for that. And he also injured his foot, and you got to give him some props. He fought valiantly through those injuries the last couple of weeks until it just was basically a no-go for him anymore. But I think, when I look at these stats here, obviously 20 less catches, 280 less yards, and 4 less touchdowns. Within that is 5 less games played. But my worry too at the same time is you look at these receptions compared to targets. I mean, last year under Kyler Murray, almost having 60 more targets than receptions, and then again 30 more than this year. That's a little bit concerning because yes, sometimes the balls aren't there, but we do know that Marv struggled a bit with his hands this year. So a fresh start is needed for everybody here in the Valley, including Marvin Harrison Jr. But that's why it's going to be so imperative to whoever we bring in here to really have the right personnel around to coach up these past 3 draft classes from Monti Ossenfort, because the big, I feel like the big red flag too at the same time is that we have not gotten a Pro Bowl selection from any of these 3 classes. And it's just, it happens in the NFL, guys. The same way that we talk about rebuilds or teams turning it around can happen just like that. Pro bowlers can happen within at least the first 2 years. And there was some promise from guys like Paris Johnson and Garrett Williams. But the injury stuff just only goes so far. And that's why you see what happened with the decision in Jonathan Gannon.
Yeah. And I guess it's, a lot of a waiting game. It's still very early in the off season, and there's still a month of football left, essentially, where the Vance Joseph, they've requested an interview with him. He's the defensive coordinator for the Denver Broncos right now, former defensive coordinator under Cliff Kingsbury here in Arizona. And it was funny because I was thinking about that today, and not to get too sidetracked, but when Vance Joseph was here and Cliff Kingsbury was floundering, I was like, why isn't Vance the head coach? Not saying I want him to be the head coach now, but I'm saying he presents more of as a head coach than a Cliff or a John Gannon did. I mean, we were pretty critical of John Gannon initially. I think I can say I started to warm up to him a bit. But about, 4 or 5 games into the season, that all went out the window. And I mentioned it briefly, like the coaching platitudes just really got to be a lot. And I'm glad that Bidwill made the decision to move on and do this. I think a lot of people didn't, just because of the fact we talked about them having to pay multiple coaches, having to go through this search again. But while we're talking about Monti Ossenfort, you guys bring up an interesting question in my mind is, if they're firing John Gannon and moving on, saying this 3-year experiment didn't work, why does Monti Ossenfort get to keep his job when he only has one good draft pick to his name? I mean, Tallman, you got any idea?
Oh, he's got more than one good draft pick to his name. Come on. Who are you saying? Paris Johnson?
Name them. I would say Michael Wilson.
Michael Wilson,
probably.
Paris Johnson. Yeah.
Yeah.
Then Will Johnson, I think he's going to be solid.
Could be. Walter Nolan could be, but they never stay on the field, though.
Who else did we have in his first draft? Garrett Wilson. I think that's what Mike mentioned. He emerged as the better cornerback on the team. But it's really, you would think that, okay, you're getting rid of the head coach, you're going to replace the GM as well, right? Because now the GM stays, and then they're going to hire a coach. I mean, if this all fails, Monty's screwed. We need some immediate success, or he's the new guy on the hot seat for sure. But really, his biggest issue was that 2024 draft. If you guys remember that, we had 7 picks in the top 100, 7 selections in the top 100. And if you read through that list, man, that was a huge swing and a miss, big time whiff. So I'm with you. I was a little surprised by it. I don't know. Maybe Bidwell's he's in Bidwell's quarter, man. I don't know, but it seems like Bidwell's got faith in him that he was able to flip this roster from where it was 3 years ago when he took it over. Because I mean, when Keim left, I mean, our team was absolute shit. I mean, the roster, we didn't have any talent. And in Gannon's first year, I mean, we were like a minor league team trying to play with the pros, right? And we were sitting here, putting feathers in our caps about these moral victories where we were able to outplay guys just with toughness and energy. But we just didn't have the pro talent on that roster. So you can argue with some of the signings that, I mean, even in free agency, but you mentioned the no pro bowlers or draft picks. We didn't have any pro bowlers on any of the free agents that they brought in, and they swung and missed on a bunch of them. Think about all the money that he wasted on the defensive line with Justin Jones, Bilal Nichols, the guy Jonah Williams, pulling the Terrell Suggs, stealing money from the organization. I mean, that was a huge miss. He got a big contract too to come in offensive line. But I mean, even Josh Sweat, I mean, that was an incredible get. I mean, you mentioned about how head coaches aren't going to look at this job opening and think that it's sexy. Like, oh, I'm going to go in there and it's going to be great to play for this organization or coach for this organization. Think about the players. He was able to get Josh Sweat. Granted, he had to throw a lot of money at him to get him, but that's a great addition to the team. So I don't know, man. It's hard to say how these billionaires think and how their relationships are with people like this. I mean, you guys probably saw on Twitter, the Cam Cox, he posted the interaction of Bidwill going on the field pregame against the Rams in LA and greeting Jonathan Gannon and giving him like a huge dapping him up, giving him a huge like bear hug and shit. And Cam Cox put on there, he said, "Does this look like a coach that's going to get fired tomorrow?" And sure as shit, yeah, it didn't look like it, but he did get fired the next day. So it's really hard to tell. But I mean, I don't know. I look at his big blemish in 2024, man. We've gotten absolutely zero out of that. So I would have been in favor of pushing him out and bringing someone else in so that you're aligned, new GM, new coach, and you're just it's just a fresh start for everybody, every aspect of the organization.
That's fair. That's fair. But here we are, and Mike, as he had in there, is 15 and 36, and you can have a young core all day and night, but if you're not starting to see the wins on the field, so I guess in your everything you laid out there, Tallman, like it makes sense to me. Like you got to give these kids that he's drafted time to be something, and if you expect that to happen, you need to hire a coach capable of unlocking their full potential or developing them. There's just some guys like they can be the greatest in college, Kyler Murray, and then they get to the NFL and it's just the system just isn't tailored to them. So, I guess that's where the next head coach that comes in will have to decide who gets to stay and who gets to go. And I hope it's a coach that'll, put his foot down. But as far as Monti Ossenfort is concerned, I'm willing to give him another shot. Obviously I asked a question, does he deserve to go, or why is he still here, just to kind of spark the conversation. But I think, he's not done anything so egregious that it's irredeemable, but I hope he is willing to push back on Michael Bidwill and not just, let him steamroll and be in all the decision-making process and not actually, stand up for himself. But, that aside, that's obviously a lot of the low points, the Marvin Harrison Jr. not being available, John Gannon getting fired. I think we should also include some positive notes. I mean, there was historically bad moments, but there were some historically good moments as well. Micah's, of course, joked about getting the Michael Wilson jersey, but I have a feeling Tallman might want a Trey McBride jersey if he doesn't already have one. Mike, what do you think of that prospect 100%. for the record maker there?
No, he wants a Michael Wilson jersey. We already know. He said that he doubled down on his apologies. And I think at this point, guys, if Tallman ever sees Michael Wilson in person, which I have a feeling at least one of us will be around for, you need to personally go up to him and apologize to his face, because this man has exploded onto the map. You can see right here on this graphic. I mean, I think at one point through the first 5 weeks, he had 5 catches. And obviously, this is what you want from somebody when the opportunity is handed to them. Marvin went down for a couple of games, and all he does is come in, does not miss any games, Tallman. That was one of your concerns from him coming out of Stanford as well, and becomes the second 1,000-yard receiver for this team this year in what was, a lot of people will say, garbage stats. Doesn't matter, man. He produced. When he was given those opportunities, I mean, you see it that first week when he became wide receiver number 1, 18 targets, 15 catches, 185 yards. And it really just continued to steamroll from there, either than the Tampa Bay game when Marv came back. But once he was given those opportunities once again, he just truly flourished. So I'm definitely in the camp. I think that you guys were saying it. He could come in next year as wide receiver number 1, but it still needs to be kind of a 3-headed monster. All of these guys are going to have to produce in order for this team to win football games. Tallman, I do want you to talk on Michael Wilson really fast before I pull up all the Trey McBride stats so we can give him his flowers as well. But let's hear that apology one more time.
Yeah, so I'm apologizing to you guys about my very stubborn stance on Michael Wilson from Stanford. No, I mean, and obviously it's not like, I'm not out here wishing him to do terrible. I mean, I'm Arizona Cardinals fan at heart, right? So me being wrong about that is a positive thing for me to be wrong about it, because I mean, he's been one of the bright spots in a very dark season, and he has been a stud. I mean, even in that game, the Rams game this past weekend, I mean, he had one of those crazy contested catches where it was like, dude, where did he come from? You know what I mean? Like, how come it took year 3 for him to finally pull up, and get the opportunity to be that guy? And then shit, Mike, you and I were there at that 49ers game where he set the record. He had the 15 catches on 180 something yards, but he's just been impressive. And he should be number 1 too. And Marvin Harrison Jr. being wide receiver number 2, that doesn't sound bad to me, man. That's a good fucking number 2, if you ask me. But props to him for Wilson finishing his season with the 5 straight games with the touchdown catch. That's impressive. So at least we have something positive to pull out of this and look forward to next year.
Yeah, and Michael Wilson was a nice little fantasy addition. I was able to snag him in one league. Mike, I think you got him in the other.
I rode him all the way to the championship, man. That's Mike, for damn sure.
Points.
Pull up the stats again.
Oh, I got it.
Yeah, because Chris, you played him against me in the semifinal, right?
Yes.
And that was the Atlanta game.
Yes, because I was lamenting that I should have started Evans instead, but then Wilson ended up having
because he had the 2 catches for 52 yards and a touchdown, and that he got all of his yards in that 1 touchdown catch, which was unbelievable catch. Do you guys remember that, where he barely caught it on his body rolling into the end zone?
Yeah.
And that was early in the game, and I was sitting there like, this motherfucker is like, this is how Michael Wilson's going to get back at me. He's going to go for another 15 catches, 185 yards, and just absolutely bury me in the fantasy playoffs. But thankfully, he was very quiet after that. But hell of a catch, though.
That's some bullshit, too, because if he got 3 more catches and had consistently, I would have won.
Oh, dude, 1 more catch.
What is it, like 1.8? It was like 1.8.
Yeah, I only beat you by like 1.5. Is insane.
Ridiculous.
My favorite thing about stats overall is, everybody ends up throwing metrics out there that are just if he was on this pace, he would have ended up with 119 catches, 15 touchdowns. And that's just was the ineptitude of this offense, basically until Jacoby Brissett became the quarterback as far as throwing the football. But man, Michael Wilson, you can see that he has truly gotten his footing in the NFL game. Different from where Marv is right now. He has a year on him. I feel like he's a more experienced route runner. He is able to high point those balls and attack more than we've seen from Marv. And Marv has had those flashes, don't get me wrong, but it's just more consistent from Michael Wilson right now. So that's why when everybody was pining about getting somebody in during free agency to be the wide receiver number 2, I was so confused, because in the times that Michael was given those opportunities, he flourished, I feel like. And it was with way less targets than anybody else around, because, they're still trying to spread it to Greg Dortch. And obviously they were trying to spoon feed Marv last year. And Trey McBride, being the guy that he is, the ball can only go around so much. So, kudos to him for taking advantage of this opportunity, because not only is it going to put, a real big lens on what is going to happen with the wide receiver discussion on who is truly going to be the number 1 next year. The man is going to get paid now, because he is a proven commodity that has shown that he can stay healthy. And man, he's just a damn good football player. It's just, for as crappy as this season was, that really just has to warm your heart as an Arizona Cardinals fan, because like we've been talking about with the swings and misses from Monti, Ossenfort so far, this is a home run.
Yeah, 100%. And like Mike, I think that's why we were always somewhat in favor, or at least warm to Michael Wilson, is because on paper, like, tall guy, like 6'3", good for aim, quick, good hands, sure hands. And Tallman basically just hated him because he was injured a little bit in college. That was that, guys. For context, that is 100% of the Michael Wilson hate.
A lot of it in college. Go look at it. He was hurt a lot in college.
Good. That means he got to rest and stay healthy, have healthy legs for the NFL. Have a long career ahead of him. You can't play too much in college. You can't play too much in college.
All right. Okay.
No, it's valid, Tallman. I mean, injury concerns and injury-prone players. But it's funny because I don't see you having the same energy for Will Johnson. So interesting.
What? The jury's still out on him, man.
Oh, okay.
He's a rookie. Hey, he was on pace. He was going to be defensive, or he was one of the early favorites for defensive rookie of the year
through like 3 weeks.
Yeah.
Yeah, like 4 weeks or something.
My dark horse
Then he
bet
got
was
hurt.
looking good through September, and then that faded real fast. But Chris, I mean, we're talking about pass catchers. We got to do it. Tell us about Trey McBride, the man, the myth, the legend at this point.
Trey McBreezy played all 17 games, a rarity for this Arizona Cardinals team, apparently. 126 receptions. That's an NFL record. It's the most receptions by a tight end in the history of the entire NFL. Goodness, what am I looking at here? We got a graphic from Yahoo Sports. Trey McBride scored almost 100 more fantasy points than any other tight end in 2025. The next closest was Kyle Pitts. So everyone was hoping for a Kyle Pitts breakout year. And that's honestly misleading because that was all like 3 games that he got most of those points. Obviously, the country's darling tight end Travis Kelce had a big down year. Do you guys think he's going to retire?
I think he'll probably give it one more go. Yeah, really?
Dude, Patrick Mahomes isn't going to be ready for the start of the season.
Yeah, I mean, true. I feel like Travis Kelce is that kind of guy. If his body will still allow him, he'll go out there and compete. So
yeah, because I know Andy Reid says he's coming back. I mean, I don't know who. I mean, okay, so Mahomes did have the surgery as soon as he possibly could, where everyone was shocked. Like normally you wait for the swelling to go down, all that shit. So maybe he's back in time for the start of the season, but I don't know, man. He had he tore his Achilles, right? Or was it ACL?
Mahomes?
Yeah.
ACL.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. So, I mean, that's some serious shit.
But he was able to have surgery the next day, which is like unprecedented. So there's a possibility that he could come back early. For Pat's career, I would say that is a dumb move, but wrong team. Right now, guys, we're talking about the undisputed best tight end in the NFL. We poked fun, like I wanted you to say sorry about Michael Wilson, Tallman, and you did to a certain extent. So I do appreciate that. But I got to say sorry to Chris Patrick, who was pondering about possibly keeping Trey McBride for fantasy. Somehow it still ended up that he got him, even though you did keep the right guy in Bijan Robinson overall. But I mean, what else can this guy do, guys? Chris, you rolled off all the great stats. I think he also set the longest streak by a tight end with at least 5 receptions at 16 straight games. I'm trying to make sure that I don't double stat you here, but he broke the NFL history and he set the Cardinals franchise record. But I think it's a testament to the kind of player and teammate that he is as well. When exit interviews and all those things were happening, he wasn't too gaudy in regard to these stats because his team had a truly unsuccessful year. So he understood what it is to be a great teammate. And man, I mean, a guy who just never puts the ball on the ground, has sure hands all the time. He's the security blanket that any quarterback, who we're probably going to have a new one next year, is going to be so excited to have on their side. But what a truly special season in a season from hell. So it's like I was saying with Michael Wilson, at least we have that silver lining. This is the biggest one yet.
Yeah, man. And I don't know what Trey McBride's personal feelings are on Kyler Murray, but I have to feel like professionally during a game, he does not enjoy playing with Kyler Murray very much, because through the first 49 games of Trey McBride's career, he had 6 touchdowns. That's 3 seasons and only 6 touchdowns. The most he ever had in a single season was 3 in 2023. And this season he had 11 touchdowns. We got to pump those numbers up. I need 15 from Trey next season, because we're not going to, I hope that we get a head coach in here that's no nonsense and will tell Monti or Michael Bidwill or whoever, like, guys, Kyler isn't the guy. We need a real genuine quarterback in here. Like, just like, I don't understand it, guy. Like, Trey McBride, I don't want to say we wasted the first 3 years of his career. And you could even say this is wasted because we didn't do shit, but obviously he set records and he's setting himself up for long-term future of, success. Obviously he just signed that big, huge contract this last offseason. He's not going anywhere, I would hope. But man, like you just can't have this guy be another Larry Fitz, who just is like a freak, just the greatest tight end to ever come and play for the Arizona Cardinals, potentially looking like he's going to be one of the greatest tight ends of all time. And if the Cardinals never put a team around him, that's just going to be the saddest thing ever, man. I'm very, very pessimistic right now, and I don't know if you guys can tell that or not.
I think you're okay to be, Chris. I mean, there's a lot of concerns, obviously, and I think a lot of those concerns are always going to be prevalent when you have an owner like Michael Bidwill, who the track record speaks for itself. But the beautiful thing is he has a chance to rewrite them, and he started to slowly. Obviously, we've given him his flowers when they are due. He started to turn those NFLPA grades around. He's understood that his facility was not up to the standards of the best football league in the world. So he has gone out and made those type of changes, which will be coming in 2027. Now it really just comes down to, I feel like, one of the final issues, because, we had always talked about when Cliff was around, he was watching film with Cliff where it's like, what are you doing? He completely stepped away during the Jonathan Gannon era and let Monti and Jonathan handle the football operations aspect. But now it's going to come down to putting your money where your mouth is. And he said that Jonathan Gannon was fired because of the business of the NFL, which comes down to wins and losses, and it wasn't good enough. You're going to have to pay heavy money for a competent coach who can bring in tenured staff to coach these young players up, because the Cardinals are still a super young team. If you truly think about it, take out 40-year-old Calais Campbell, take out kind of on his last leg, Budda Baker, this is an opportunity where a tenured coach can come in and change the stars of Arizona, which we've been waiting for guys, it's been a decade. Throw away 2022, 2021, whatever. That did not count. The last time the Arizona Cardinals were a competent franchise in the standards of the NFL and winning was when Bruce Arians was here in 2015. It's been long enough.
Yeah, and it's like, even when we brought in Bruce Arians, he had interim head coach experience, but even he wasn't like an actual, like, full season head coach. We need a guy with experience, man. None of this experimental bullshit anymore, because you just went through 6 years of experimenting with inexperienced guys, and look at what it got you. I have to get something off my chest, guys. There's something that's been eating away at me since yesterday morning, and I was going to text you guys about it, but I was a little embarrassed and like just trying to wrap my head. I don't know if you guys know what the Mandela effect is, right? Like the whole Berenstain Bears. I'm having one of those moments, guys. I think I went through like a time loop or something, and I'm on a different timeline now, but I'm okay. I'm happy to be here with you guys. But I swear to God, Michael Bidwell's name was Bidwell. I learned yesterday it's Will, and I feel like my brain is unraveling and I'm going crazy. So I'm alone in this, right?
You're alone. Never been.
Good. Perfect.
Always an I. But it is funny. Every once in a while, I'll have to pull up on Google to be like, hey, it is an I, right? So maybe you're not too far off, but.
Because everyone says Bidwell. Like, it's pronounced Bidwell, right? Or is it Bidwill? Or is it just. You can't really tell. Like, it sounds so similar. Really Bidwill. Like
Bidwill.
Bidwill.
I
don't know, chat. Let us know in the comments. Did you know it was Bidwill, or did you think it was Bidwell? ELL or ILL? Irrelevant, but it's been bugging me. I'm glad to know that it's just me and I am a crazy person. But back to the topic at hand. I mean, while we're talking about, and we are kind of all over the place here in the middle part of the program. Just kind of getting this all off our chest. I think in the past I've called this type of stream a postmortem, because like this season's dead and we're burying it now, and maybe we ought to give a eulogy, say some. I don't have many kind words to say. I tried. We spoke kindly of Trey and Michael Wilson, so I guess we got that. But when we start to look forward at the future and putting this all behind us, we have to get a new head coach, and we're kind of talking about that a little bit. But I think right now, and keep me honest here, I think there are 6 other teams that also have head coaching vacancies right now, or 5.
I think it's 7 now with Baltimore.
So 7 total, right?
Yeah, letting John go. And it could be 8. It depends on what Miami does. But I mean, as the days stretch on, I think Mike McDaniel kind of saved his job the way that they performed the second half of the season. But yeah, 7 right now. So, I mean, Chris, so if you look at some of those other openings, and maybe we should pull them up just to make sure we have everything. We know it's the Giants, it's the Cleveland Browns, the Arizona Cardinals, the Atlanta Falcons. Help me here. Are the Jets an opening too? Did they fire Aaron Glenn?
No, they did not. Titans,
Browns.
I got Browns already.
Browns,
I'm
okay.
at 5.
Ravens,
Falcons. You said Falcons.
Ravens and Raiders. I think that's
Titans.
the 7 right now. Yep, we got Titans already.
Okay, cool.
So if you look at the landscape of openings right now, Chris, do you honestly look in the mirror and feel like the Arizona Cardinals job is the worst out of that list right now? I mean, I know what we see as the top, which is obviously Baltimore, when you have an established quarterback. But look at all those other teams. I mean, there's history. I mean, we don't have the greatest history either, right? But there's history of losing consistently with those franchises. And I feel like almost all of them are in the same boat with quarterback questions as well. And you start knocking off, like the Raiders are going to have the number 1 overall pick, so they could go Mendoza, right? The Titans just drafted Cam Ward last year. They have a lot of pieces to fill before they're a competent team. You know, who else are you excited about? The Cleveland? If I'm a head coach, you know, the opportunity to go somewhere. I don't know. I feel like Arizona is still going to be a spot that will have intrigue from some of the higher candidates this year. It's truly just going to come down to Michael Bidwill opening up the pocketbook and almost having to pay. Let's get into the list of some of these guys here. Almost having to make them the highest paid coach in the NFL.
Yeah, I mean, I heard driving home, they were speculating on the radio that John Harbaugh is going to command 20+ million a year, and probably these coaches don't want to just sign 1 or 2 year contracts. We're talking 5 years, $100 million. I mean, I'm not saying we have to get a Harbaugh. I'm not even saying I want Harbaugh. I think for my money, Kevin Stefanski is a pretty intriguing option. The tweet here from Bo Brock, Mike is pulling up. There is an update. The Arizona Cardinals have requested interviews with 4 head coach candidates per multiple reports, and that's the Seahawks OC Clint Kubiak, son of Gary Kubiak, a legendary coach. Could you call Gary Kubiak legendary? I would say so.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
With the
Yeah.
Texans?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
He was was he the first ever coach for the Houston Texans?
Ooh.
That's good. Tallman, while I finish this, look
Good
that up while I
question.
finish this. 49ers DC Robert Saleh is one of those candidates. Broncos DC Vance Joseph, which we mentioned a bit ago, and then Dolphins DC Anthony Weaver. So right off the bat, I noticed one thing. These are all coordinators with no head coach. Well, Robert Saleh has head coaching experience, but that was the Jets. Do the Jets count?
Yes, they do.
Okay.
They count. Yeah. So the one thing that concerns me about this first list, and obviously it is the first list, it is a little bit of the lack of head coaching experience from guys like Anthony Weaver and Clint Kubiak. Now, that doesn't mean that I think Clint Kubiak would be a good option. You're taking somebody from the NFC West who has a good track record with quarterbacks, right? Brock Purdy's best season was with Clint Kubiak. Seattle Seahawks have changed the stars of Sam Darnold, even though he got a head start with his time in Minnesota, right? He was the guy that they pinpointed after a 10-win season that said, this is going to be the guy that takes us to the next level. What does he do? 14 wins, consistent offense, wins the division, and wins the NFC with the number 1 overall seed. Robert Saleh has to be at the top of this list right here with his coaching experience that he did have in New York. I think you give him a mulligan because, dude, nobody goes. Going to New York is like going to Cleveland. It's going to be so hard for you to ever see true success. And Kevin Stefanski did have that in Cleveland, right? He's a 2-time coach of the year, right? With this time with Baker, or was Baker not there yet? Besides the fact, Robert Saleh kept the 49ers alive this entire year after all of the injuries that he saw to his best players on that side of the football. I mean, we got a firsthand experience in that, week 3 really dogfight in Santa Clara. And then obviously they jack stomped us when Brock Purdy came here back home to the Valley. But I'm in the camp is I will triple, quadruple down on this. I need experience. Guys, I mean, the last time I think that the Cardinals have had a head coach for more than 6 years was Denny Green. And that was 20 years ago. And I think that was one of the last times that they hired somebody that truly had experience, if you go down the list of Arizona Cardinals coaches. So it's time to change the stars in some way. And it starts with bringing in experience to mentor these young players.
Yeah. And I think if the writing on the wall is to be read, it seems like Michael Bidwill might be starting to listen to the fans a little bit more. And I don't know, I haven't been able to verify it, but I believe I saw yesterday, and Tallman, maybe that he had said in one of his press conferences, either I think it was yesterday or today, that part of his decision to let go of Jonathan Gannon was listening to the fans and all the calls for how terrible this season was, and not necessarily fans calling for firing of Gannon, but fans calling for change and dramatic change. Did you hear anything about that? Or if not, do you think that played a part in it with Bidwill's decision?
No, I didn't hear that, but it surprises me. And I think Bidwill, surprised all of us. I mean, that was the main reason why I was like, Gannon's coming back, dude. Bidwill's not going to pay a third coach. He's worried about casitas, worried about making money. Like, he's not fully into winning and all that fun shit, right? He just wants to make money. So he surprised me with that, with saying that's unacceptable, right? He wants to win games, and you got to think. I mean, when you win your first 2 games and you finish the season 1-14 or whatever the rest of the way, I mean, his billionaire buddies are probably making fun of him. All the other owners. I mean, how embarrassing is that? I mean, the Raiders don't count, but you're literally at the bottom with the Raiders. And guess we're drafting 3rd overall. The Titans are drafting 4th. They were better than us this season. Obviously, head to head, they beat us. How pathetic is that? I mean, and so props to him coming out and saying this isn't cool. Like, injuries aside, that's not an excuse, man. Like, this is, results driven league. Like, we need to put a better product out on the field for this city, for this fan base, because, I mean, otherwise it would just be an all out mutiny, right? I mean, I don't know if he did say that, Chris. I didn't, of course, I tried to tune in at noon when it was yesterday, and then my fucking phone is like, we're sorry, due to location services, this stream is unavailable. I'm like, this is bullshit. I'm literally in Santan Valley or Santan Ford, and I can't listen to this shit. It's ridiculous. So I don't know if he said that, but I mean, that'd jack me up if he did say that, because that's what we need. That's what we've been waiting for, is just open up the pocketbook, spend some money. I mean, he's already, like we mentioned before, trying to improve that, the PA grade, the scorecard. He's investing in this franchise, getting new facilities, but I mean, what about the everyday fan, right? I mean, I see they're increasing the ticket prices and shit, but it's like, give me a reason to buy them, because right now I have zero reason to buy them. And if they brought Gannon back the way the season ended, I mean, why would anyone buy season tickets? I mean, why would I go be excited for week 1 to spend $200 to sit in a lower bowl to watch them get absolutely destroyed and be non-competitive in their division? Like, it just doesn't make sense. So this was the right move. And of course, maybe it was business driven, because he realized that he's going to get hurt where it matters most. But at least we're getting what the fans want.
I think a big thing about this too, guys, is Tallman said, who's going to want to buy tickets next year if you bring back Jonathan Gannon? Well, that's how they were peddling it out to us, it seemed like, in the media. You could see some of these quotes. Every time they asked Jonathan Gannon, he was confident, right? He talks to Michael all the time. You see the big smile and hug, right before another ass whooping to the Los Angeles Rams, another division opponent, another division loss where Jonathan Gannon has only 3 in 3 years. People were already canceling their tickets. You cannot set all of these negative records in a historic fashion and truly look at yourself in the mirror and say, this is the right decision to bring back this leader and just tinker things around from him, right? I'll go back to what you were talking about with Monti Ossenfort. I think that he had to keep Monti at this point because trying to do a complete full reset right now would set expectations to be basically going back to 2023 where winning is not a priority. Winning has to be a priority for this franchise next year. So you have to have somebody who has been in the building at least for a semblance of a time frame to try and find this next coaching staff and work with the players and see the vision through to a certain extent, right? Because Monti Ossenfort is the guy who brings in these players. This was a very, very hard decision for Michael Bidwill. You could tell that he loved Jonathan Gannon. He loved the man, the person, and to a certain extent, the coach that he was, right? But this is the NFL, not for long, right? It is a results-driven league. If you do not win, you don't get to stick around. It's the same like with Kyler Murray when he said, they asked him about the upcoming facilities that were being built, and he was like, I hope I get to see it, because he knows how it is. If you don't produce, you don't get to stay around. So this was the right decision, guys. This was the right decision at the end of the day. A change was needed.
Yeah, and I agree, Mike, that it had to have been a hard decision for Michael Bidwill because of everything you said. And also, I mean, not to be, completely just negative or whatever, but Michael Bidwill had a financial incentive to keep Jonathan Gannon as well. You're still paying Cliff Kingsbury. No guarantee he's ever going to get a head coaching job in the near future, let alone again. Although I think there are some rumblings, Tallman, shaking his head there. What was it? He's being considered for the which one was it? It was the Ravens. They were connecting to the Ravens because they thought like his style of offense would be good for Lamar.
I didn't see that, but I know they let him go. Or
they let him go today, right?
Yeah.
So
he's no longer with Washington.
No, he's not. Reunion? What do you guys think?
Run it back. Run it back.
Go. Steve Cobb, stop drinking.
Yeah, bring Steve in as like a sister, or actually bring in Steve as president of football operations. That'd be fun. No, but where was I going with that? We were talking about Jonathan Gannon. It was good to let him go. Tallman, I was kind of looking. I don't think he actually like straight up said, like, I don't think Bidwill actually said like straight up, like, I listened to the fans and that's why I fired Gannon. I would be very shocked if he did, but I think that's kind of what people were inferring, just for all the reasons we said. It was a hard decision. He liked the guy, wanted to keep him around, financial incentive to keep around, but you just can't, because at this point, like, if you want any people wearing red in the stands next season, it's gonna have to be, buying back some goodwill with this team, because towards the end of the season, Mike didn't go to the last couple of games. He gave me Falcons tickets. I gave them back to him. It was hard to find some. They couldn't give away tickets at the end of the season, guys. And that's the type of stuff that really like pushes people away. And we saw a glimpse, a flash in the pan during the Bruce Arians era of what a competitive Cardinals team can do to the Valley. But it's like the fair weather nature. And I don't think it's unique to the Valley, guys. I think it's just when a team's doing good, people show up, and when a team's doing bad, they don't. And unfortunately, the Cardinals are bad more often than not. So we don't have an opportunity to build those loyal fans, because kids growing up, Mike, you see it all the time. Young kids that even grow up here in the Valley are wearing other team, Patrick Mahomes, they're Chiefs fans, they're Ravens fans, they're anything but Cardinals fans. And it just blows my mind, man. And I'll always be on that soapbox, because I get it. A lot of their parents are probably transplants. We have friends who are Bears fans, and they raise their kids to be Bears fans, and it's fine. But at the end of the day, we got to start building something here, because it's crazy being the 5th largest metropolitan area, but still calling ourselves a small market team. It just doesn't make any sense. But things like this are not going to help. Having poor teams is not going to help. And so going back to what I said, I think it's a good start. I think Bidwell's starting to wake up. He let go of Cliff. That was great. We were a little optimistic about Gannon. It fell short. He's cutting ties now, doing what he has to do. Hope he brings in a good coach and we can start to turn this thing around. Because, I mean, that's really all we need, in my opinion, is a couple good seasons to buy us back some time. I don't expect a dynasty to be built. I don't expect the Cardinals to rattle off 3 Super Bowl appearances in a row, but one would be nice, guys. One would be nice. I know we started the stream here, going over our season or going over the season and going game by game a little bit. But I do briefly want to revisit that so we can reminisce on our season predictions that we did on the Heat Check podcast. I think that was back in August. I don't know. I don't think we have a graphic available for it, and I'm not going to go through every game, but just the overall here. My prediction was that the Cardinals would finish 10-7. I was middle of the road on the optimism scale. Mike was on the high end of the optimism scale, had him 11-6. We both predicted that they would make the playoffs. So Mike and I were just completely wrong. Couldn't have been more wrong. And VSP Tallman here was a little more pessimistic, but still projecting 3 times more wins than they actually got. He had them at 9-8, but not making the playoffs. So I guess Tallman's half right. But either way, none of us are happy about the way the season went. Man, I mean, Mike, I'll ask you, man, how did we get it so wrong?
So I think one of the things that I have accepted is that I do not know how to pick when a team is going to be good or not. Because if you think back to when we started VSP, it was the final year of Cliff Kingsbury. We had just went to the playoffs, albeit got our ass handed to us in Los Angeles by the Rams, who were the eventual Super Bowl champions. But you looked at that team, you looked at that roster, and you said, this team is going to get better. They had started, 7-1, 10-2? Everything was going up, right? And then just an absolute implosion. So the same thing happened this year, right? When we look back to 2023, we were all almost spot on. So the only thing that I have realized that I know how to pick is when a team is going to be bad or mediocre. I could get within a game, right? I was 1 game off there. I was 1 game off last year as well. But when the expectations came about for this team once again, and guys, I wasn't that far off. Vegas had us at 8.5 wins. This is so far and beyond what anybody truly expected from this Arizona Cardinals team. A true implosion in front of our faces at a grandiose fashion that is truly hard to describe. Tallman, it just seems like, is normally pretty damn close. And Chris, you're normally pretty spot on. So I'm a little disappointed in you this year, man. I will say that.
I drank the Kool-Aid, Mike. I drank the Kool-Aid, man. Like, if you go back to August and September of last year when we were doing our streams and recording the Heat Check podcast, man, I was like 180 on Gannon. I'm in. This guy's a goofball, but I love him, and he's awesome, man. And then how quickly things changed. I think it was after that Tennessee game, because it was because we were still like kind of just blaming Kyler at that point. Although there were plenty of questionable calls even before the Tennessee Titans game. But yeah, I don't know. I don't know what happened this season, Mike. I think it has to be that I drank the Kool-Aid and I was just overly optimistic. But never again will I allow myself to be that optimistic. And I think that carried over to Pass the Outlet when we did our Suns predictions, because I was very doom and gloom about that as well. And I'm going to be very wrong about that prediction too.
And I think the Suns are going to shatter our predictions there, which is great, right? I'd rather live on the lower end, but sometimes it's hard to live. My God, 8 games worse of a prediction that I made?
Because it's like we're so used to heartbreak. So if you have no expectations, you can't have your heart broken.
But that's hard to live as a sports fan when you have to live in that situation all the time. I told you guys my thought process this entire year, right? It was the last chance. It was the last chance for Kyler Murray. And I put my eggs in the basket. I wanted to have the faith. And they let us down. Are we surprised? Unfortunately, we're not. But at the same time, I was dead right about the Cincinnati Bengals being a BS team that was going to stink and that would probably get Joe Burrow injured at some point. And then, I mean, I didn't have this on my bingo card. They literally broke his morale this year until they played the Arizona Cardinals, where people were like, oh, we can see some positives come out from that. But 8.5 win prediction from Vegas made it so easy for me to take that bet with Tallman, thinking that the Cardinals could have sleptwalked to 8 wins this year with the schedule that they had to start this season and the expectations that were put on this team. It should have been easy. It should have been easy. But here we go. Now I owe Tallman a Michael Wilson. I'll probably get him one of the sand Michael Wilson jerseys. Because at this point, you know, I don't think it's a jersey that sticks around. I think it was just for this year because there's going to be 2 divisions each year going forward that will have rivalry jerseys. And I don't know if the thought is to keep those around from the teams as they kind of like incept them and move them forward. So those could go on sale pretty quick. Yeah. So I might be able to save myself a pretty penny and get off a little scot-free in comparative to this bet. So
no, you're paying full price, man. I'm
gonna wait till the start of next year to get you the jersey because that's what you did for me.
That's when I'm gonna get a Kyler Murray jersey.
No, I got it to you. No, I'm gonna go back and look at the order details.
Look at the order details. I know it was months after the season ended.
All right,
that's for sure.
But going back to the predictions, though, I mean, when we were doing our predictions before the season, I mean, did anyone expect the Colts to go off to a hot start? We had the Cardinals beating the Colts with Daniel Jones. Same with the Jaguars. We're like, we could beat the Jags, no problem. And then obviously the Titans was an absolute killer to our predictions. But what really got us was thinking that we were going to be competitive in the division. I mean, I think as a group, we were kind of like, yeah, split. We always split with Seattle. We go there, we beat them. They come here, they beat us. We can split with the Niners. The Rams might kick our ass all year, but that's where it really, really set us off. But kind of the Jags catching heat, the Colts catching heat, that really made our schedule where it looked soft at first, but looking back at it now, you're like, damn, we did play some good teams there in the middle.
But, you know, that was where it was honestly the beginning of the end for the defensive side of the football, too. Going to Indianapolis, that was one of the worst showings of the year. And they still had an opportunity to win that game. And then the same with the Jaguars. Not the defensive side of the football. They performed that week. They won the turnover battle 4-0. And they still lost that game. It was just every turn of the corner, this team figured out a way to lose. And when that is the blood that is flowing through your team's veins, you have to almost like get the leech. Michael Bidwill is the leech at this point. Start sucking that blood out, and that blood was Jonathan Gannon. So there's going to be a lot of things that change about this team coming up. So as negative as this season ended and going through it, it was negative. The positives are going to be we're going to see a lot of new faces. So that should be a breath of fresh air. But it's just going back, speaking on the predictions, I can't believe we've got to this point already in 3 short years.
Yeah, it's honestly insane to me, guys. Like, and I think that's like the more mystifying part of it is like this was the 3-year rebuild after a 3-year rebuild, and so now what do we have ahead of us? A 3-year rebuild. So you're talking about a decade rebuild. What the fuck are we doing? Like, I did want to say real quick, Tallman, I wanted to ask you, was when Kyler Murray preseason said take the over, was that this season or last season?
That was last year.
That was last year?
Yeah.
Okay.
Because
I think he was right. Yeah.
And he was actually right.
Because
they had
our no, I think last year was 5.5.
5.5. Yeah. Well, 6.
It was pretty bad.
We had to win 6 to.
Well, while we were talking, you know, this year's schedule, and we're going to start wrapping up here, but Tallman, just for you, man, we can take a look at the 2026 opponents. So let's go ahead and do our predictions now, Tallman. I know.
Let's go. I was studying for this one too. We're going to go 0-17.
Why are we playing the Cowboys again in Dallas? Quick question.
That's okay. We always kick their ass there. I'll take that.
They wanted to make sure we have at least one win next season.
Yeah, that's fine. Dude, that's a tough schedule, man. I mean,
so I did you guys see the metrics? This is technically tied for the 3rd hardest schedule next year.
I believe it. And it's mostly because of the division we play in, though, right?
A lot of it is because of the division we play in. But the reason that we're playing the Cowboys again, Chris, is because, you know, every year you're scheduled to play a specific division, like every team in the division. So we're playing the NFC East next year. And then AFC West. Is that right? With the Chiefs, Chargers. Wait, what happened?
I was trying to Google something. I didn't realize I was on the page.
Chiefs, Chargers,
Raiders, Broncos.
Raiders, and Broncos. But then I'm like, what? Oh my God, we got to play New Orleans again, who kind of, showed some promise towards the end of this year with Tyler Shuck. It's because they ended up last in the division. So we do technically are playing some of the worst teams with that fourth place schedule, like the Jets, like the Giants. But it's going to be no picnic next year, gentlemen. And that's why it's going to be so imperative to bring in the right leadership to turn it around immediately, or else we're going to be staring down the barrel of that gun, wondering when this team is going to be good again for a long, long time. Unfortunately, I feel like.
Yeah, but the good news is there is somewhat of a blueprint for what that looks like in the Denver Broncos right now, or so it seems. Sean Payton came in, I think last year, or maybe the year before, and said, we're shipping out Russell Wilson's old ass. I don't want him. And that was a very interesting season where the head coach and the starting quarterback did not like each other whatsoever. Then they draft Bo Nix. He has not a stellar rookie year, but decent. And then this year, just night and day. So that's a 3-year rebuild. That's the model for a 3-year rebuild. You come in the first year, you clean house, you get rid of all the undesirable pieces you don't want. You start building a culture. Year 2, you got your team in place that you like, and you start continuing to build that momentum towards something good. And then year 3 is when you're supposed to be a playoff team competing for Super Bowls. That's what this Cardinals team was supposed to be. That's what this season was supposed to be for the Cardinals, and it wasn't. So John Gannon has to go. Kyler Murray has to go. We need some change, guys, because just look, we've had the stats up several times, man. Like Kyler Murray didn't even throw 200 yards in any of his games this year, I don't think, maybe one. And then Jacoby Brissett comes in and he's throwing 250 plus every single game. Like, you can't tell me that Kyler Murray is not at least a major part of the problem. Like, I'm not going to say he's obviously not the entire problem. That would be disingenuous, but massive part of the problem. And when a head coach is handcuffed by limited starting quarterback, there's only so much they can do. So I'm not saying Cliff was set up for failure. I'm not saying Gannon was set up for failure, but Bidwill needs to make sure that the next head coach is set up for success. And that means moving on from Kyler Murray. I know all those conversations have been had and we're going to continue to have, and plenty of time to speculate. But guys, the season's over. It's dead and gone. We don't have to talk about the 2025 Arizona Cardinals anymore. We get to talk about the offseason, which is honestly, I really have started to enjoy the offseason and those conversations. We're going to have the draft, free agency, all the rule stuff, the Super Bowl coming up. So we're not done talking about the Cardinals or the NFL, but I'm pretty much done talking about the 2025 season. Guys, before we go, is there any last topics you wanted to touch on? Anything else you wanted to bring up?
Yeah. So Cardinals have the number 3 overall pick now. You got to pull up the Tankathon where they're saying that we're going to pick a linebacker. I mean, there are obviously positions on this team that are set up for better success than others, right? But the linebacking core can't be the first one overall, right? Tallman, I mean, like, who are you eyeing? You don't have to give a specific player. We're going to get into the nitty-gritty of that, in the next couple of months. But I mean, what position are you looking at with that number 3 if you stick and pick?
Well, it's so easy to say quarterback, but look at that mock there, number 1, number 2. It's only going to be a 2 quarterback draft here. Let's be realistic here. If we're going to take a quarterback in the first round, we're going to have to trade up to get one of those 2 guys there, Mendoza or more. This is the first one I saw with the linebacker. Basically every other one, 90% of them has them picking offensive tackle, which, looking at how the run game went this year and how decimated our line was, it doesn't hurt. Yeah, there you go. The kid from Miami. That would probably be, as much as it's so boring and not very sexy at all, the draft a lineman that early. I'd be looking at offensive line. And to pick a guy number 3, maybe they have 2 or 3 guys, offensive linemen, that they like. I would expect a trade back, move a little further down in the first round if you got a way to build up some more capital, because obviously we're going to need some more, as many talented players as we can, young guys coming in. So I'd envision that as probably something that would happen. If we could get a good edge rusher, that's something that, you got Josh Sweat, you invested a lot there. You're going to lose Campbell, which it felt like Calais Campbell was one of the main guys that was getting pressure. I mean, that would be a big area of need as well. Defensive line, even though it feels like they spent so much money on that defensive line, but I'd say offensive guard. I mean, or excuse me, offensive line. It's our main problems offensively being one-dimensional, not having a run game, not being able to pass block. It starts with that offensive line.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, our leading rusher this year, guys, obviously we had injuries, but Michael Carter, 3.6 yard per carry, 333 yards. I mean, Kyler Murray finished 4th, and he played 5 games. That's crazy, man. Like Amari DiMercato, 312 yards, Bam Knight, 269 yards. The last 10 games of this year, they completely went away from running the footballs because they were completely incompetent in getting the gaps necessary to run on a consistent basis. You can't be a one-dimensional team. We literally saw it this year. You lose, and you lose all the time. You have to start in the trenches. As much as I would love to get another great pass rusher to go with Josh Sweat, the offensive line is an absolute glaring issue. So I think it was the Mayoga guy, and then Spencer Fanu out of Utah is another main one. And if not, it's going to be hard because, like we were talking about, a playoff mandate with Jonathan Gannon. It's like a fan mandate that this team competes next year. And I think it would be really hard if you're sticking a number 1 or number 2 overall pick, if you do move up in there, and telling them, hey, pull a Jaden Daniels and take us to the promised land. We saw what happened to him this year. So it's like, can you strike lightning in the bottle for consistent winning? Because that's what this franchise needs. We need to get a couple of years of like tasting what winning success feels like on a consistent basis. And it needs to start next year. So there's going to be so many damn questions that we're going to have this offseason. And Chris, I'm right alongside you with that. It's going to be fun. It's going to be a lot of fun.
That's one way to put it, for sure. But yeah, that tankathon, those mocks always get me. But it's funny because they say draft order updated after every game. Team needs are factored into the mock. So if team needs are factored into the mock, yet another example of the national media not knowing anything about the Cardinals. But I say that, but they knew Jonathan Gannon was on the hot seat before anybody else did. So I don't know. But yeah, I think, it makes a lot of sense. I know people like to have the skill position players get drafted, the quarterbacks, the receivers, the linebackers, the sexy positions who have highlight reels. Go Google an offensive tackle's highlight tape. It's probably the most underwhelming thing you've ever seen in your entire life. But it's so crucial, and we've only continued every year to see how important it is. And they're literally the unsung heroes of an offense, because you can have a great quarterback. You can have Joe Burrow back there. You can have Andrew Luck back there. But if you don't have an offensive line, those guys are going to get mashed and injured and miss great parts of their season. Look at the Philadelphia Eagles. Great offensive line during their Super Bowl runs. They lost a few pieces this year. Look where it's got them. I mean, I think fans are not necessarily, like the casual fan might not necessarily be stoked about taking an offensive lineman in the first round, but it's so necessary. It looks like there are plenty of opportunities within the first round. So the one thing I would say is, like, I would be okay with them trading back in the first round to get one of those guys. There's no one in the top 10 that I think we really need to go get. I like Caleb Downs, the safety. I think he could be a good replacement for Budda Baker. If we're ready to start moving on from him in the next couple of years, could be a good, opportunity to have him mentor or shadow for a little while. I don't know. But if they trade back to my point, if they trade back, I wouldn't be mad. If they trade back, get an offensive tackle, get some more, maybe a later round pick, get another couple pieces for the line or the defense and build that way. I do like what Monti Ossenfort has done in that regard, where he really stockpiled those draft picks. And I joked, like, he's just going to keep stockpiling picks and never actually make them. But he did. He made them. And we can be critical, but I mean, you gotta draft somebody. He had to draft somebody. So you take your shot, and you're not going to make 100% of them, but hopefully some of these guys hopefully we get a full season out of Walter Nolan, the majority of a season out of Will Johnson and Paris Johnson, and some of these other guys really start to make big impacts, because we can't keep trying to retread Will Johnson. That's just not going to fucking work. Man, I know we love him. What was his nickname? Nino? Or Mijo? What'd you call him, Mike? Mijo?
Oh, Will Hernandez?
Yeah, Will Hernandez.
Yeah, I didn't call him that. The nation called him Mijo. But
Either
he's
way,
done. Yeah,
fan
he
favorite
won't
though.
be
Like,
back.
yeah, we loved him, but I mean, I think another thing Bidwill and Ossenfort need to do is they can't be afraid to cut ties with guys that they might like personally or have, been fan favorites in the past. Who was the Dennis Gardeck? We had to let him go because fan favorite. But if the results at the end of the day aren't producing wins, I mean, it's time to just understand that this is a business and the power of friendship isn't going to win you Super Bowls. But yeah, Mike, I'm glad you brought up the mock there because I do think that is mighty hilarious. The notion that we would take a linebacker after the last offseason where we drafted and signed like 15 linebackers. It was absolutely ridiculous. Tallman, I mean, you got anything, brother? I mean, I'll give you time to share your last thoughts, but is there any other Cardinals season related topics you wanted to go over?
No, I mean, this head coaching search is going to be crucial, guys. I mean, I'm just hoping that we spend some money on a head coach. I mean, it doesn't factor into the salary cap. Just spend the money. Just come on, Michael. Not Michael Benjamin, Michael Bidwill. Spend the money, please. Bring in one of these guys. I mean, I know John Harbaugh, he got fired, and then I don't know if you saw his agent came out and said within 45 minutes of the news breaking, 7 teams called about him. We better be one of those 7 teams. I swear to God. If you're not making that phone call, go ahead.
I was just gonna say what was funny about that was pointed out is he said 7 teams called, but there's only 7 head coaching openings, and one of those is the Ravens. So a team that currently has a head coach called.
I mean, and that's how important it is, right? That's how important your head coach is. I mean, even if we don't get him, right? I'd take, at least we're in the mix, because it's always all these big pieces come up, whether it's free agent players or big time head coaches, and then we're never even mentioned. We're not even in that same breath as all these other franchises going after these guys. Like, why can't we pull up our big boy pants and go take a seat at the table? There's no reason why we can't pay John Harbaugh $20 million. We absolutely can. He can, right? But it's just, he's got to have the will, and he's got to have, he's got to want to win. And that's been my biggest issue with it, is he's only worried about the casitas and making money. He doesn't care about winning, right? I mean, and he's given us some hope, because after the worst season, the most losses in franchise history, 13 losses in a season, 14 losses. And guys, this franchise has been around since 1890 something, right? Like, we're talking 125 years. I mean, we've had the worst loss season in the history of the organization. So make a splash play, and he can do it with this signing, because we talk about it all the time. We had Sean Payton in the building, and he walked out. Why did he walk out? Because we probably didn't want to pay him. Let's not make that same mistake, because he can come in here day one and have an immediate impact that could totally turn around this franchise. The 1-year turnaround that Bidwill said verbatim in that press conference yesterday.
And it all starts now. I mean, the good thing is that they are making the asks, but I'm 100% with you, Tallman. John Harbaugh has to be one of those guys. There's going to be an opportunity, because you just have to think his brother is on the West Coast. His parents are over here now. He's only getting older. His brother, I think, is like a special teams coordinator for one of the teams out here on the West Side. So like, his family is out here too. And you get to live in the beautiful sunshine state of Arizona. This was an interesting season in so many different fashions, because I had ups, right? First time that I've ever had season tickets. Once again, probably my last ever shout out to SeatGeek. They will never give me the season tickets again, because I didn't go to all the games. That was a tough one. I think overall, I don't know if I would do that again, gentlemen. I don't know if I'd ever do season tickets for the Cardinals, just because the biggest thing is the time and effort that it takes to get out there from living on the East Side. That's the biggest thing. I'm not saying I won't ever go to another game. I'm a fan to the point where I will never let another 6 years go by before I go to a game. I will pledge to myself to at least go to one game a season. But then we had a lot of lows, but it's the nature of Arizona sports. 2026 is here. We're going to have a big year this year at VSP, man. I'm truly excited for what we got cooking, what's coming up, and I always appreciate you guys. But 2025 Arizona Cardinals, see ya.
Get out of here. Man, I'm happy to be back. I enjoy talking into a microphone. I'm already talking sports, and so I wanted to hop on here and talk with my buddies about sports, and that's really why we launched Valley Sports Plug, is so we can share with you our fan perspective and chat with each other and chat with you guys. That's why we always ask you to join in the comments. You can tune in on our live streams and be in the live chat. Love to engage with you guys. Love to hear your thoughts. And honestly, like, you guys sometimes have chimed in with some thoughts that we haven't even considered. So I do certainly enjoy that aspect as well. But without trying to sound like John Gannon, stick with us, guys. We're going to figure it out. We're going to keep improving and doing things better every time. We're going to try and get better every time. And I'm still having a lot of fun. I think these guys are too. And I hope you've enjoyed watching. As always, guys, if you've made it this far, you're a real one, and we appreciate you so much. I know you're already liked and subscribed, but if you're not, I will ask you to do so. Please share this video, share this stream with your friends, your family, your worst enemy. Send it to them. Maybe you'll become friends overnight. It's hard to say. And then, of course, all of our links are down below in the description. But I'm going to get out of here and get on with my night. I hope you all do the same and have a good one. But for Mr. Benjamin, VSP Tallman, I'm Chris Patrick, and we'll see you next time. Peace.
Things up here, and for one last time, this is Al McCoy saying thanks for being there, thanks for being with us tonight, and from the Footprint Center here in downtown Phoenix, we'll just say so long for now.